Always and everywhere versus context specific. I think this is a very important observation, especially when it comes to complex environments. What does it mean? Always and everywhere, what I mean by that is solutions that can be used like a recipe that can be copied and pasted into different contexts, and they work always and everywhere. Whereas there are other, or in comparison to that, there are other solutions which only work context specific, and you have to adapt them and build them into the context for them to work. And I believe when you have ordered environments, very well structured, a structured process and so on, then probably the recipes will work quite often, and it's also worth the effort to find a good recipe that works always and everywhere, because then you can scale it up. But as soon as the complexity starts increasing, and you have, think about corporate culture, for example. I never understood why you want to have a benchmark concerning corporate culture, because it depends so much on the history and uniqueness and individuality of each organization, which is the good and adequate corporate culture for them, that I don't believe really that there is a point in making too much fuss about comparing them and finding common benchmarks. So always find the balance between that. By the way, the oblique strategies themselves are examples of context specific, because they don't elaborate solutions that then can be copied everywhere. They also don't claim that this individual card here is going to be relevant always and everywhere. The only claim there is that every now and then it's probably going to be relevant everywhere. And then you have to build based on the card. You have to build your own approach, your own solution. The best example I got from that was actually from the youngest participants I ever had in a short version of a training that I did about complexity. The guy was 12 years old, and when asked about bringing examples of this always and everywhere versus context specific, he actually mentioned his own school and said in his own school, in his year, there were two classes. It was a 12-year-old, so I think it was still elementary school. And he said his class was the one that had a good reputation, the performance was good, marks were good, the teacher was happy, and so on. Whereas the other class in the same year, they were the troublemakers. They had a bad reputation, it was difficult to have discipline in class, and teachers were desperate, looking for ways to make that class actually work. And so he said one day he observed how the teacher from the other class came over to ask her teacher about, to ask the teacher of his class about, the ways that she organized the teaching, the methods that she used, in order to copy them and paste them into her own environment. And the 12-year-old boy said, and of course that wouldn't work because the context was completely different. I thought, yes, somebody has learned something very important very early.